So, as you guys can see, I'm back with some more Steins Gate Zero. Luca would believe anything you told him. Anyway, there was no point in standing around forever. I was getting hungry and it was time to find some place to eat. We decided to head towards Yodobashi. There were a lot of restaurants there, so it was perfect. I just remember bananas, but sure. I walked behind the three of them, and I thought to myself, what would it be like if Kurisu was here? I tried my hardest for the past 2 months not to think about her, but was it because of my experience yesterday that I did anyway? The expressions and little mannerisms I'd seen yesterday, the voice, the way she'd walked. I remembered. I remembered my conversation with her. Finally, able to see, but... I couldn't respond at all. Something felt slightly off about the way Kurisu moved on the screen, but it was really slight. I'd get used to it soon. More importantly, the voice and the way she spoke were exactly like the real Kurisu. I almost cried, and it was all I could do to stop from breaking down. The camera on the PC switched from me to Maho. Was she talking about the fact that I didn't respond to her introduction? Maho decided not to tell Amadeus that I was a friend of Kurisu's before she died. Why, I wonder? Did she not want Amadeus to find out? Or was I supposed to tell her myself? The Kurisu on the screen turned to me and smiled. Calm down. The words got stuck in my throat. I said, calm down. You know this is just a program. Her words, her appearance, even the conversation she's having with you right now, they're all artificial. But even though I knew that, I still couldn't speak. I had no idea what to say. And more than that, the words "nice to meet you" hit me harder than I thought they would. This wasn't the Kurisu I'd spent those 3 weeks with. Maho had told me this ahead of time, and I thought I understood it, but hearing it for myself hurt more than I imagined. I regretted not taking my anxiety meds, but it was too late now. My heart rate soared and my breathing became irregular. My head was spinning and the corners of my vision were beginning to dim. At some point, my lips had gone totally dry.
どうかしました？岡部さん。
Kurisu sounded worried. Her name here changes a little bit. I guess to differentiate them better. That voice software must be pretty good if it could handle nuances like that.
彼の専攻は脳科学ではないわ。だけど、私たちの研究にとても興味があるんですって。そうなんですか。レスキネン教授も気に入ってるみたいだし、いずれは私の助手にでもしてやろうかと思っているところよ。
Really? My head snapped up in surprise at Maho's bizarre statement. Me? Maho's assistant? Then I'd go to Victor Condré University?
あら、お気に召さない？
お気に召すとか召さないとかそういう問題じゃなくて。
ま、冗談だけれどね。
Oh. Well, that's disappointing.
もしかして本気にした？
Hmm.
信じちゃいない。
I wasn't going to tell her that I almost did.
そう。でも、もっともっと勉強してくれれば、あながち冗談じゃなくなるかもしれないわよ。
仮にそうだとしても、レスキネン教授の助手がいい。
This was my way of getting back at her.
教授の助手って思っている以上に大変よ。あの方は本当に子供だから。
As she spoke, she quietly came over next to me and tapped me on the arm a few times. I see, so that was it. She was making a joke to try and calm me down. Oh.
悪かった。ありがとう。
何のことかしら？
I didn't think subtlety was her thing. Maybe I was wrong?
先輩、ちょっと。
Kurisu beckoned to Maho from within the screen in a very human manner.
何？もうちょっとこっち。スピーカーに寄ってください。
Maho moved her ear close to the speaker. I was just thinking about how weird it was when... She whispered something to her, I guess? Maho suddenly turned bright red and shouted at the screen.
そんなわけないでしょ。何を言ってるのあなた。
Yeah, she probably asked if they were dating or something.
そんなに照れなくても。照れてるわけじゃないわ。とにかくおかしなことを言うのはやめて。そうですか？そうです。
Yeah, probably.
一体何の話を？
It was obvious that Kurisu had whispered something to Maho. What did she say? Maho glanced at me. And for some reason, she blushed and turned away. Ah, I see. From the way Maho was acting and what I knew about Kurisu, there was only one possibility. The pejorative term used to refer to girls who are easily influenced by trends, or who think in ways that men find impossible to understand. However, it is said that the only people who use it often are boys who have very little experience with women. I whispered the name I'd often teased Kurisu with, and suddenly felt a lot better. She must have said something stupid like, "You two make a good couple," or "You finally found a man, huh?" The way she looked at a boy and girl holding a friendly conversation and immediately assumed they were dating was just like the Kurisu I knew. Sheesh, what a system. It didn't need to be that true to her personality, did it? I chuckled. Do you think this Kurisu also browses ad channel when Maho and the professor aren't looking to? Nah, knowing her, she's probably commenting. I remember Kurisu once browsed ad channel on the Future Gadget Laboratory's computer when she knew nobody else was around.
ちょっと入ってくるときはノックぐらいしてよ。
クリスティーナ、
That's a goofy music.
お前はやるべきことをサボって何を言っているんだ。
おい、その、これはひどい。はいはい、ワロスワロスみたいな笑い方はなんだ。
案ずるなクリスティーナ。いや、アッドチャンネラークリス。
そういう言い方はやめて。
俺はすでに気づいていた。そう、とっくに気づいていた。お前からアッドチャンネラーとしての匂いのようなものがプンプンと醸し出されていた。
失礼だな。ちゃんと毎日香りがきつくなる香水つけてるぞ。
そういう意味ではない。俺が言う魂レベルだが、隠そうとするのはいじらしい。アッドチャンネラークリス。
そんなで呼ぶな。
Your soul's power level, huh? My silly remark seemed to me to have a much deeper meaning now. Was the girl in front of me one day going to, as Dr. Leskinen had said, become a real artificial soul? When that happened, what were we supposed to call a soul that still existed in this world after the body was gone? Not dead or alive, but something in between. This wasn't science anymore, it was philosophy, or maybe religion.
バカな話はここまでにしましょう。岡部さんだってこんな中身のないことを聞きたくて来たわけではないわ。そうやってごまかすところがますます怪しいですね。ウイルスをぶち込むわよ。嘘です。もう言いません。
Kurisu quickly bowed her head. I bet back when Kurisu was still alive, she had conversations like this with Maho every day. I'm sure Dr. Leskinen had a lot of fun watching them. It was actually kind of cute.
お騒がせしてごめんなさい、岡部さん。彼女と何か話してみる？
ああ。
Maho offered me the seat in front of the PC. Kurisu's face was on the monitor right in front of me. When our eyes met, she smiled a little. I didn't know she reacted like this to people when she first met them. But my meeting with Kurisu went about as badly as it possibly could have. I realized that her prickly attitude toward me could have been unusual for her.
どんなことでも聞いてください。可能な範囲でお答えしますから。
そうだな。
This wasn't good. I was remembering every moment I'd ever spent with Kurisu. I couldn't think of what to say. And then the words that came out of my mouth were,
タイムマシンは作れるだろうか。
okay. That was what I'd once argued about with Kurisu on another world line. In the end, I'd lost the argument completely.
はい？え？タイムマシーンですか？何の話を始めるのかと思ったら、いきなり何？
ただのテストだよ。思考実験ができるかどうかっていう。
どうクリス？そうですね。結論から言ってしまうと タイムマシンは可能ではない。けれど不可能とまでは言い切れないといったところでしょうか。
That wasn't what she said.
最初に結論を言ってしまうと、タイムマシンなんていうのはバカらしい代物だということです。
That's what Kurisu had said in the Alpha World line. I remember that well.
俺はタイムマシンなんてバカらしい代物だと思うけどな。
He's really testing her. I remembered our old debate and decided to repeat what Kurisu had said back then.
そう決めつけるのは早計ですよ。
そうかな。確かに世界中の科学者がタイムトラベル理論を提唱している。主な理論だけで11あるが、どれも仮説の域を出ない。しかも理論同士が矛盾し否定し合っているものまである。
ええ。
例えば宇宙紐理論やワームホール理論。これらは思考実験としてはタイムトラベルを可能にするが、そもそも宇宙紐だのエキゾチック物質だの、どこからどう探してくればいいのか見当もつかない。つまり現実的ではない。
This was also something that Kurisu had told me in the Alpha World line. But the Kurisu in the screen was unmoved.
それは科学者がまだ重大な何かを発見できていないからでしょうね。
それじゃあ君はタイムマシンをいつか作れると思っているのか。
不可能とまでは言い切れない、そう言いましたけど。
Yeah, her opinion was slightly different. Was this because I was in the Beta World line, or perhaps...
なあ、ヒアジョーさん。彼女は自分がオリジナルの記憶から派生した存在だということは認識しているんだよ
もちろん。
な。じゃあうまい例が思いつかないんだが、一卵性ソーセージみたいなことはあるのか。生まれた時は見分けがつかない。だが育つにつれて差異が出てくるとか、そういうことを。
それについてはまだ検証中だけれど、蓄積されていく記憶が異なれば当然元の人間とは違うものになっていくと思うわ。私と教授はそう考えている。
そっか。
It was then that I heard the door on the other side of the partition slam shut.
教授かしら。あの大きな足音はそうじゃないでしょうか。
I could definitely hear somebody stomping around outside. And then after a heavy knock, the door to the booth flung open. Lintalo? The professor opened his arms wide as he came inside. He grabbed my hand and began to wave it around. I hadn't realized he was this friendly. He seemed to think he was giving me a handshake, but it felt like I was being worked over by a pro wrestler.
Hey boy, what's up? I'm fine, thank you. And you?
The accent is so bad.
岡部さん、ひどい英語です
Yeah.
ね。
黙れクリスティーナ。
He called her Christina.
クリスティーナ？
Oh no, I was so focused on the professor that I used my old nickname for her.
なんでもない。気にしないでくれ。
気になります。なんで私がクリスティーナなんですか？
だからなんでもないというのに。
なんでもない割には動揺してますよね。
しつこいぞクリスティン。クリス。
Kurisu and Maho both seemed lost in thought.
クリスティーナって呼んでいたのね。
君もそこに食いつくな。
I didn't want any more questions about this. Since the professor was here, I decided to ask more about how Amadeus's memories worked.
教授、アマデウスの記憶を外部から改ざんすることは可能なんですか？
But the professor wasn't listening to my question. He seemed to be frantically searching his pockets for something. Come to think of it, I didn't see that translator device on his ear. He must have been looking for it, which meant odds were good he didn't even hear my question.
私の記憶の改ざんですか？理論上は可能です。
Kurisu herself answered in the professor's place.
例えば、私が自分の名前をクリスティーナであると思い込み、そう仕向けることもできるでしょう。ただ、普通のデータと違い、記憶データはとても複雑です。今のところ、改ざんに成功した例はないと認識しています。仮に改ざんに成功した場合でも、私がそれに気づいて自分で修復してしまうでしょう。私は私以外アクセス不可の領域にログを取っていますから。
It's interesting.
つまり秘密の日記ですね。その日記と現在の記憶との間に不自然な齟齬があれば、私は高い確率で疑問を抱きます。さらに言えば、私の記憶データは定期的にバックアップされています。自己修復が不能なほどに改ざんされたとしても、復旧することが可能なんですよ。最終バックアップから改ざんされた時点までの記憶はなくなってしまいますが。
そっか。
Regardless of the topic of discussion, it felt strange. What Maho had said before she loaded Kurisu was true. I was starting to feel like I was chatting with the real Kurisu. The way she wouldn't let you get a word in edgewise once she started talking about science was exactly like the real Kurisu.
しかし、興味深いな。
I turned towards Kurisu and spoke.
君は自分のことを機械として客観的に語ることができている。小説や漫画でよくあるパターンだと、自分は機械ではない人間だとか言い出しそうなものだが。
それは全くナンセンスですね。人間そのものが自分をハードウェアとソフトウェアの組み合わせとして語るじゃありませんか。医学とか心理学とかそういう名においてね。それとどこが違うんです？
Interesting way of thinking.
なるほど。
さすが。へりくつなら誰にも負けないわね、この子。
When she heard this, Kurisu turned towards Maho, her CG eyes big and round, though it was really just a camera sensor moving.
ねえ先輩、余計なお世話かもしれませんけど、口が悪いのを少し直した方がいいですよ。せっかく春が来そうなのに嫌われたらどうするんです？
Oh, really?
だからその話に戻るのはやめなさい。けど私にとっては今一番興味があります。一番どうでもいいことでしょ、そんなの。これが人生最後のチャンスだったらどうするんですか？あなたこそその口を改めなさい。
Dr. Leskinen was clapping his hands together and laughing. I had to chuckle a little too. Afterward, the three of us, including the professor, talked to Kurisu, discussing technical subjects and making small talk. The next thing I knew, it had been almost an hour. I actually felt a little sad when Maho told me that it was time to stop. In just a single hour, the strangeness I'd felt about Amadeus had disappeared, and I felt like I was really talking to Kurisu. Dr. Leskinen stopped me before I left.
テストをやる気はあるかな？
I tilted my head when I heard the professor speak through the translator.
エムテウスにはタイヤ散歩が少なくてね。うちの研究室の子たちを相当員してはいるのだけれどね。
とはいえ、アマデウスはまだ研究段階だし、誰彼構わず接触させるわけにもいかないわ。
そこでクリスの友人だったレイターロに ぜひとも協力してほしいんだ。
I don't really understand where this nickname came from and what it means, because before we were like, well, the main character was the third Einstein, now Lintalo. I don't know. I remembered they'd mentioned something about being a tester at the party, so this is what they were talking about.
私と教授はしばらく日本に滞在する予定なの。だからテスターをお願いするのはその間ということになるわね。あなたにしてもらいたいのはとにかくクリスと対話を重ねてもらうこと。具体的なノルマのようなものは特にないわ。気が向いたら話をするぐらいでいい。ただ月に2回程度は私と教授にテスト経過の報告をしてほしいの。
それと申し訳ないけれど報酬は出せないんだ。そこも含めて考えてみてほしい。俺は亡くした友人をそっくりそのまま再現した AI と話をさせる。それは君にとってとても残酷なことだとは理解しているつもりだよ。乗り気でないのなら断ってくれていいからね。
I remembered what it had felt like to talk to Kurisu. When the monitor was just about to turn off, this is what Kurisu had said. Let's talk again sometime, Rintaro Okabe. That's what I'd hoped for when I came here, wasn't it?
やります。やらせてください。
I thought I was ready when I accepted the job, but I'd never expected this.
はい。
She called? She can call?
マキセですけど。
Kurisu was displayed on the screen. Yes, it was Amadeus. The app that the professor had given me allowed me to access the servers at Victor Condria University from anywhere, 24 hours a day. So that's how they're doing it.
岡部さんからクリスの方へ呼びかけることができるのはもちろんだけれど、クリスの方からあなたに呼びかけてくることもあるから、その時はうまく対応して。
Actually, I think I might have missed messages or phone calls by now because I heard that sound before, but it was before I realized that there was a phone. I forgot that about the first game. I know I didn't miss that much, so hopefully it's fine. It was mostly just the introduction anyway. This I hadn't predicted. I'd never thought she would call me, or that her face would be displayed on the screen.
それともクリスティーナですけどって自己紹介した方が良かったですか？
She looked really mad. I could guess why. I had gotten 8 calls from Kurisu and I had ignored them all. Oh.
事情はレスキネン教授や先輩から聞いています。だから最初に一言こちらから挨拶しようと思っていたんですが、まさか8回もイルスを使われるとは思いませんでした。なんで黙ってるんですか？
Talking to a realistic girl on my smartphone with so many people around was pretty embarrassing.
まあ、話す気がないならそれはそれでいいんですが。なんなのよ。せっかくいつも以上に人と話せるチャンスだと思ってたのに。バカみたいじゃん。ったく。いずれにせよ、テスト中は私はあなたといつでもつながっていますから。気が向いたらどうぞ連絡してきてください。こっちも忙しいので、あなたの連絡にいつも出れるかどうかわかりませんけど。
Man, what is this? More than that strangely polite, friendly Kurisu from yesterday. Angry, stubborn, more curious than anyone. The way she seemed to be constantly challenging you.
それではお邪魔しました。
I realized that this really was Kurisu Makise. That was the girl I'd spent those 3 weeks with. Lab member 4, my assistant Christina, aka Kurisu Makise. Her movements were a little more jerky than I'd seen on the computer in Dr. Leskinen's office, but evidently that was because of the smartphone. This alone was enough to make me feel like my heart was being squeezed dry. I stood still, holding the smartphone tight.
じゃなかった。あかりん、どうしたにゃ？
ああ、今行く。
I thought to myself as I ran to catch up with the others. Maybe Dr. Leskinen was right, and this test would be a very cruel thing for me. But even so, in my mind, I was already starting to think about what I would talk about with Kurisu. Maho Hiyajo was remembering. She was remembering the last night she'd spoken to Kurisu Makise in person.
冗談じゃないわ。こんな大事な時期になんで私が。
That night, Kurisu was whispering to herself a lot. Victor Kondria University's Brain Science Institute. Maho and Kurisu worked in the same room at the lab. Thus, Maho was forced to hear Kurisu's angry mumblings, whether she wanted to or not. A little was fine, but she'd been acting like this all day, and it was keeping Maho from concentrating. She finally snapped and turned away from the paper she was writing.
ねえ、ちょっとクリス。
English was the language most commonly used at Victor Kondria University. When the other staff and professors were around, she'd always use English, but when it was just her and Kurisu, Maho would often speak in Japanese.
いい加減にしてくれないかしら。え？ああ、何がです？
She didn't notice, of course. Kurisu stopped messing with her luggage and turned around.
うるさくて集中できないのよ。この論文、明日までに教授に提出しないといけないんだけど。もしかして私、独り言言ってました？騒音郊外で訴えてあげようかしら。
She really likes threatening people by saying she'll sue them.
すみません。
Kurisu apologized and started to scratch the back of her head. Maho decided to calm down by standing up and going to the shelf where the research notes were kept. There were several books she needed for her paper, but they were all up on the top shelf. This must be someone's idea of a prank, she'd said as she stared up at a heavy book. She decided to try and reach for it, but no matter how she stood on her toes, she came nowhere close. Her tiny little arms seemed to her like dead branches waving in the wind. She bit her lip. After she'd skipped grades to go to college and then come to work at this lab, she'd had more chances than ever before to hate her small stature. Whenever she walked outside after dark, the cops would stop her. Even with her ID, she couldn't get into bars, and buying medicine and alcohol at drugstores was a pain. The most humiliating part was that no matter where she went, everyone thought she was in middle school. Nobody believed her when she said she was 20. Everything in America was just too big.
撮りましょうか。
Kurisu noticed the trouble Maho was having and came over. But Maho was stubborn and decided to pretend nothing was wrong.
大丈夫よ。別に困ってなんかいないもの。困ってるじゃないですか。困ってません。そうですか？そうです。でも私も借りていきたい本があるので。
Kurisu easily reached up to the highest shelf and grabbed the book Maho wanted.
背が高い人はいいわね。いえ、私もそれほど高い方では。
Kurisu covered her mouth when she realized she'd said something she shouldn't have.
ありがとう。助かったわ。日本で何か必要なものがあったら言ってね。送ってあげるから。はい。ありがとうございます。
Kurisu handed over the book as she spoke, and then suddenly her eyes went wide and began to sparkle.
ねえ先輩、今の話ですけど。今の話ってどの話？独り言ですよ。え？おお。
It looked like Kurisu had come up with a new idea. This was a regular occurrence for Kurisu, and Maho was used to it.
それって自我の証明の一つになるんじゃないでしょうか。アマデウスの？はい。確かにあの子がいきなり独り言を言い出したらびっくりするけれど。
No matter how advanced an AI was, it wouldn't talk to itself unless you programmed it to do that. And there was no need, or even point to a feature like that. If an AI started talking to itself, that might be a good indication that there was a self to talk to. But Maho hesitated to agree with her.
ここではめったなことを口にするものではないわ。魂は神が人間に与えたもうたものである。そう考える人たちが多いことを忘れないで。そうでしたね。
Kurisu's expression dimmed. Kurisu and Maho were both treated as heretics in the lab, especially since they were Japanese and women. And Kurisu was simply too talented. Nobody ever actually did anything, but a lot of the older scientists were definitely avoiding her. Dr. Leskinen was the chief scientist, and the fact that he liked the two of them was all that let them do their research in peace. If the other scientists heard what Kurisu had just said, who knows what they'd do. Maho patted Kurisu on the shoulder.
まあ、しばらく日本でリフレッシュしてくることね。それが納得いきません。どうして？向こうの生活だって楽しいと思うけれど。留学するなら大学院ですよ。なんで高校なんですか？仕方ないでしょ。日本では年齢的にあなたはまだ高校生なんだから。教授の思いやりは素直に受けておきなさいな。
Maho remembered what Dr. Leskinen had said. Kurisu has a fragile personality. All the bickering in the lab is putting her under a lot of stress, and she's at her limit. It might ruin her as a researcher. That's what the professor had said. He was really worried about her.
それに、もともと7月になれば日本に行かなくちゃいけなかったんだから、ちょうどいいじゃない。はい。実はそれも憂鬱で。秋葉原テクノフォーラムだったかしら？公演なんて慣れてないし、何をどうしていいのか。
Ah, that's surprising.
サイエンス誌に論文が載った以上、これからもどんどん増えるわよ。練習しておかないとね。やだな。
Kurisu whispered to herself. Maho didn't like being around lots of other people either, so she knew how Kurisu felt. But there were a lot of scientists who wanted to be published in a major journal, then go on to give public lectures. And she'd beaten out many of them to win that honor. People were jealous. She needed to fulfill her responsibilities, even if just to shut them up. Maybe I'm not that much better, though. Maho silently laughed a little and hated herself for doing it. Maybe I'm just as jealous as they are. That feeling, which was a little like fear, was something she always felt. The girl in front of her was just that different from Maho. Someone she could never reach, no matter how hard she tried. Someone who'd surpassed everything she'd ever done almost instantly.
Senpai?
Kurisu was peering into her face, confused. Maho felt flustered.
日本でお父さんには会うの？
She'd heard that Kurisu's parents weren't divorced, but that they were separated. Her mom was still in America, and her dad was in Japan. After Maho said it, she'd wondered if that was too personal a question. But Kurisu smiled a little.
実は父から招待状が届いたんですよ。夏頃新しい理論の発表会をするそうです。それを見に行こうかと思ってます。新しい理論って？
Kurisu's smile changed into a small expression of consternation.
まだ詳しく聞いてないんですよね。相対性理論に関することらしいんですけど。
Maho felt like she was hiding something, but didn't question her anymore.
とにかく気をつけて行ってくることね。お土産期待しているから。何がいいですか？そうね。せっかく秋葉原に行くのだから、何か珍しいものがいいわ。秋葉原詳しいのよね。なんでです？休憩時間によくそういうサイト見てるじゃない。まさかアマデウスが喋ったんですか？あの子はそんなことしないわ。あなた、私が後ろにいるのに動画に夢中になってて気づかないことがあるわよ。はあまさかバレていたなんて、自分のうかつさが憎い。
That's cute. Kurisu actually seemed upset for once. This really surprised Maho.
先輩、お願いです。どうか他の人たちには内密に。
She's blushing.
別に隠すことはないと思うけれど。
The idea of sharing a secret with Kurisu made Maho happy.
分かった。言わないでおくわ。助かります。
Kurisu seemed genuinely relieved. Maho continued.
ねえ、あなたが日本から戻ってきたら、アマデウスが独り言をつぶやけるかどうか、二人で検証してみましょう。はい。
She seemed so happy. Kurisu had a very happy look on her face. It was the face of a born scientist who loved to explore the unknown more than anything in the world. Her smile was as innocent as that of a child who'd just been given a new toy. It was very beautiful, and it was one of the reasons that Maho liked the younger researcher quite a bit. But the promise the two of them made would never be fulfilled. In fact, they would never even meet again. It felt like she was thinking about Kurisu more and more since she'd come to Japan. Maho didn't know if it was because she was in Japan or because she was talking with the Amadeus Kurisu more often. Or maybe, was it because she'd met the young man named Rintaro Okabe?
私の知らないクリスを知っている人か。
Thinking back, the first day they'd met, she'd broken down and cried right in front of him. It was something she didn't really want to remember. She chased the memories away out of embarrassment.
さては、岡部さんのことを考えていましたね。
Well, you're not wrong. She snapped her head toward the PC monitor. Maho was in the middle of a conversation with Kurisu.
そうね。
She shrugged her shoulders and tried to ignore Kurisu's mischievous smile.
不思議だと思わない？レスキネン教授が岡部さんのことをあそこまで買っているなんて。2度しか会ったことのない相手なのに、あなたのアクセス権も渡してしまったし、あそこまで信用していいのかしら。誠実そうな人でしたが。そう？向上心があるのかないのか、少しつかみどころがない人だったわ。好きなんですか？あなたね。
Maho brought her face close to the monitor in glare, but Kurisu seemed unconcerned.
別に取り繕う必要はないでしょ。
Kurisu may not have looked like someone who would, but she really enjoyed this sort of gossip. Maybe girl talk was the right word. Maho sighed and sat back in her chair. The creaking sound echoed throughout the empty office.
本当にそんな感情はないわ。岡部さんがどんな人なのかさえまだよく分かっていないのだから。なるほど。まあそうでしょうね。
Kurisu let the matter drop. This bothered Maho a little.
ただ気になるのは何です？いえ、何でもないわ。
Maho had been spending a lot of time thinking about something since yesterday, to the point where she'd even put off her research. Why he called her Christina. Probably. I guess. Or that, sure. What kind of relationship was there between Kurisu and Okabe? What was Kurisu feeling in the days before she died? She would have liked to ask Okabe if she could.
先輩、私のオリジナルと岡部さんは知り合いだったんですか？
She's quick. Maho shivered. It was as if Kurisu had been reading her mind.
どうしてわかったの？岡部さんの話や先輩の反応などを聞いて判断しました。状況証拠を積み上げただけですが、証明しましょうか？別にいいわ。あなたのことだから反証の余地もないでしょ。
The way they used words like proof in normal conversation showed that both Maho and Kurisu were scientists at heart.
相手だけが一方的に私との記憶を持っているのでは対話に齟齬が出てしまう可能性が高いです。彼と話していく上でどうするのかはあなたに任せる。岡部さんの方から切り出してくるかもしれないし、なんならあなたから聞いてみてもいいわ。
Maho still didn't know if Okabe would even access Amadeus at all. They weren't forcing him to.
知らないふりをするっていうのは嘘をついているのと同じことになりますよね。興味深いデータが取れそうな気がします。
Yes, it was interesting, but that was her opinion as a researcher working on Amadeus. How would Rintaro Okabe feel about it? Wouldn't this be rubbing salt on the wounds in his heart? Maho realized she was getting much too sentimental.
やっぱり日本に来たせいなのかもしれないわね。
It's been a week since she'd arrived. The first thing she'd planned to do was offer flowers. But she still couldn't bring herself to visit the Okihabara radio building, the place where Kurisu had died. I know this was a bit of a shorter episode, but I think I'm gonna stop here because it feels like a right place to stop. Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying this series. If you like this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.